Here are four things that I just absolutely hate. Here's four things I hate about my van. Here's four things I hate about my van. Number one, the height of the ceiling. This is a mid-roof transit. I'm about 6 feet tall, and as you can see, I cannot stand upright in this van. Now, I chose a mid-roof willingly, and they're a little cheaper than high roofs, and they're also easier to find. That's probably the main reason why I found them, but it definitely is a pain just for those everyday activities. I want to live out of the van, but there's still some things you have to do in the van, and this is definitely a pain. Number two is most definitely storage. Now, it's not exactly the lack of storage, it's the way the storage is built. I feel pretty confident about the fact that I've maximized my storage through the rear cabinets, these two main drawers, my baskets here, and my two upper cabinets. But what I wish I had changed was thinking about what I was going to store and smaller increments of storing rather than just large cavities. When I built these basket holes, I knew I wanted to put baskets in them, but I didn't think about what size of baskets. So they're an odd depth, an odd height, and an odd width. I ended up having to spend hours trying to find the right dimension baskets, and then even after hours, only managed to find something that will fit kind of work in there. I have two baskets stuffed in there, and you can see them hanging out. It's just not perfect. For the upper cabinets, they're a ton of storage, and I was so proud of myself for making them, but what I messed up was I just made upper cabinets. I didn't create any internal way of storing things. Now, this could be solved by sticking baskets in there or different paraphernalia, but I don't really want to have to stick more in there. I would have loved to have created dividers and maybe some hanging items in there to be able to store things more incrementally rather than just throw everything into a large cavity. For the pull-out drawers, these have worked out just fine because I store larger items in them. Like my ski gear takes up almost an entire drawer, so it's fine that those are larger. Although I did maximize my storage, I didn't quite make it as efficient in its maximization as possible. Number three has got to be this bed. Now, it's not a terrible bed, and I'm kind of obligated to say that because I sleep on it every night. It's just one small decision that I made. So this bed actually pulls out. These two drawers underneath me pull out, and then you have these rear pieces of plywood that you insert on top of the drawers, and then you have a bed that's 80 inches long by maybe 47 inches wide, which is plenty big for two people. And it's a little bit of a chore to put it out, but that's not really the issue because there are things like that in van life all the time. The issue I have is I sleep in it most often as just this couch mode. I pull out the back and then I have about shoulders width space here to sleep. But what I wish is if I had just made it 3 inches longer, then my elbows wouldn't be constantly sliding off. As it is, I could have taken 3 inches away from this desk over here and made this 3 inches wider. So a tiny little decision for the depth of my couch / bed, and yet it makes a huge difference every single night. Finally, we have the sink size. Now, it's not a bad sink and it's not a terrible end of the world type decision, but I did go with a 13 by 15, I believe the dimensions were, sink, which I thought would be great. I thought it would be perfect for the amount of dishes I need to put in here. What I didn't anticipate was when you're cleaning dishes, which is the primary activity of the sink, you're using the space around it as well because your hands are moving around. So I almost constantly have to be cleaning up water from around this edge, definitely every single day, because the sink is just a couple of inches too small. And I have tons of space too that I could have used for a slightly larger sink. You know, you're bound to make a lot of mistakes when you set out on a van build. I think the most important thing is just really consider whatever your options are and try to find videos like these where people look back and talk about what they wish they had done. For me, I still think I would go with the mid-roof if I did it again, just because of the cheaper price, and I was on a kind of time crunch to find my van, so it made it easier to find one I wanted in mid-roof. For the bed, I definitely wish I had changed that. There's no way I can go back and change it now. It would just require a monumental amount of work to just get that 3 inches, which would have been so simple had I thought earlier on about that extra 3 inches. For the storage, there may be some improvements I can do along the way. I'm thinking about maybe creating little inserts for my upper cabinets, just for things like camera lenses or toiletries or like my AeroPress for making coffee. Different things that are small and I don't want rolling around. I might waste a little space creating things instead of having made them into the cabinet in the first place, but I might be able to salvage some of that after all. For the sink, I suppose I could cut a new hole and fit a new sink, but that sounds like a lot of work. Perhaps a project down the road after a couple more months of living in it. Maybe in the spring I can visit some family and get access to tools and consider it. Right now, I'm totally fine with cleaning up the water because the countertops are sealed well enough that there's not much of an issue. All in all, there's a lot that I would change in this van build if I went back. But at the same time, I'm so happy with the way it turned out. And I'm so proud of figuring things out along the way and researching and just filling in the unknowns and the gaps that are going to come up when you undertake a van build. Anyway, this is my van. A couple of things I don't like about it, a couple of things I'd change. Hope you found them useful.